Yes.
Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharma swarupini avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayosritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu Namasri Atirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukasvarupaya Swamini Tapaharine. So, so it's a conversation between Sri Ramakrishna and Master Mashai. So, Thakur tells him a little spiritual discipline is necessary in order to know what lies within. See, Thakur always, talks in a very endearing and simple way because, it requires tremendous amount of sadhana. But it says a little spiritual discipline is necessary in order to know what lies within. Maybe again, Master Moshe is asking, is it necessary to practice discipline all through life? No, no, no. But one must be up and doing in the beginning. See, he always, gives this example. After that, one need not work hard. The helmsman stands up and clutches the rudder firmly as long as the boat is passing through waves, storms, high wind, or around the curves of a river. But he relaxes after steering through them. As soon as the boat passes the curves and the helmsman feels a favorable wind, he sits comfortably and just touches the rudder. Now he prepares to unfurl the sail and gets ready for a smoke. Likewise, the aspirant enjoys peace and calm after passing the waves and storms of woman and cold. Very, very beautifully put. You cannot describe spiritual struggle more aptly. See, initially, it involves tremendous struggle, determination, hard work, commitment, integrity, so on and so forth. Then afterwards, see, even if you say in the case of Thakur, of course, we can never compare and we should never. See, the initial till the first darshan of mother, the amount of sadhana he did, unbelievable, you can say it's humanly not possible. The amount of strain, the amount of intensity which he did. But afterwards, you see, all these last 4 or 5 years, he recorded. Of course, he was always in that mood. But then separately, sitting and doing meditation for long hours and all that, do you ever see? Always immersed in that. Because now, it had become so much part of his nature. It was very difficult for him to come out from that spiritual mood. He was immersed in that. So, of course, that's a very, very advanced and very exceptional kind of personalities are also only can do like that. But even otherwise, there is some, when that stability comes, afterwards, our sadhana, our practice, everything will become very spontaneous and natural. Initially, it's like struggling against the wave, going against everything, tremendous hard work. But then, afterwards, it's along the tide. You can just sail through. See, some are born with the characteristics of the yogi, but they too should be careful. See, some may have, that kind of thing even while, even when they are born, they are born with such kind of samskaras. It would appear that for them it is little easy and so on. But he says they also should be very careful. They cannot just like that take it easy. For example, Swamiji was born with such great samskaras. But so much, he writes somewhere, at one period of my time, I could not go through the streets of Calcutta. They used to put up huge billboards, after cinemas and all that. Some used to feel disturbed. But later on, when he got down from the platform in the World Parliament of Religions, he was simply swarmed by the most beautiful young women of America. From a distance, one lady was observing. If he can withstand this onslaught, either I would understand he's nothing less than a god. Something like that, she said. And Swamiji writes somewhere, you see, even if the most beautiful woman looks at me with an impure attitude, immediately she gets converted into a frog. And no one admires a frog. That's what he writes. It is woman and gold alone that is the obstacle. It makes them deviate from the path of yoga and drags them into worldliness. Perhaps they have some desire for enjoyment. After fulfilling their desire, they again direct their minds to God and thus recover their former state of mind, fit for the practice of yoga. He says this about those who are born with great samskaras or characteristics. Even if they deviate, they come back. Have you ever seen the spring trap for fish called satkakal? No, sir, I have not seen it. They use it in our part of the country. One end of the bamboo pole is fastened in the ground, the other is bent over with a catch. From this end, a line with a hook hangs over the water, with bait tied to the hook. When the fish swallows it, the bait suddenly, the bamboo jumps up and regains its upright position. So the whole idea is to catch the fish. That's the goal. Once that happens, then the bent condition of a pole is not its natural state. It's strain. It's not a convenient posture for the bamboo. Supposing if you imagine the bamboo has feelings or its own body, to be bent like that, is it natural? No. But just to reach the goal, it's prepared. The moment it gets it, then it remains straight and it is not affected anymore. Again, take a pair of scales, for example. If a weight is placed on one side, the lower needle moves away from the upper one. The lower needle is the mind, upper one is the God. The meeting of the two is yoga. Unless the mind becomes steady, there cannot be yoga. You see, again, this beautiful example. Lower is the mind and upper is the God. Upper is always steady. It doesn't move, it is fixed. Only the lower one keeps oscillating depending upon the weight, which side is more, which side is less. The moment you balance it, it becomes one with the upper one, and that is the state of yoga. So the mind, the idea is the mind should be yoked or linked to God. That is the state of yoga. So for that, if you have to place weights on the other side, whatever is there, see what is placed on the left side. If you assume that as the weight of worldliness, to balance it, you must place on the right side your sadhana, your spiritual practice, other things, etc. So that the weight of worldliness is balanced. So that the needle which has gone to the left side is brought to the center. And then it gets linked to yoga. Unless the mind becomes steady, it is a wind of worldliness that always disturbs the mind, which may be likened to a candle flame. If that flame doesn't move at all, then one is said to have attained yoga. So the flame, it's possible. It's possible for the flame to be steady. If flame is compared to mind, it can be steady. There's a state in which it is steady. Then what does it require? It has to be protected so that, the wind of worldliness does not blow it away. So if you do give it the protection, the fencing of deep sadhana, etc., then the wind may be blowing, but then it's completely protected. Suppose you put a glass around it, you run the fan at full speed, nothing will happen because it is completely protected from wind. So if you protect your mind from worldliness and unnecessary, unspiritual things, then the mind can remain steady. Woman and goal alone is an obstacle to yoga. Always analyze what you see. What is there in the body of a woman? Only such things as blood, flesh, fat, etc. Why should one love such a body? You see, generally, it's common for all bodies, whether it is men or women or anything. See, all of us love or admire most our body. There's the object of greatest admiration or dearest to us is our body. So if you understand what is the nature of the body, after some years is going to be consigned to flame. The body which is being decorated, and so much of we spend money on dress and cosmetics and this and that and so on. Finally, what is that? It's going to flame. Does it mean that we should go and jump into the fire? No. You can have, but always remember it is worthless or useless to attend to it beyond a point. So, okay, ठीक है, कुछ तो करना है. You have to live in a society, you have to dress, you have to be decent, it's okay. But then endlessly, oh, इसके साथ वही match है, उसके साथ वही match है, उसके साथ ये. So day and night, if you spend in all that, then the mind is completely would be centered around the body only. Then again it will compare. Oh, so and so has come. Oh, that looks more matching. Let me go and change it like. So that means we are totally body-centered life. That should go. That's why in the ancient traditions, deliberately they kind of consign the body to something, give it trouble, undertake that kind of titiksha, torturous. Of course, they're all Thakur never advocated that kind of extreme behavior. But the idea there also is how to get rid of the idea of the dependence on us, on the body. How dear it is to us. How can we really drive that feeling of dearness from the mind? So somebody will see every little thing. Oh, anything अच्छा ठीक है जो दिया खा लिया. अच्छा है ठीक है अच्छा है कम किया ज़्यादा किया. But then if you do tremendous research, so that means what? Everything is related to body constantly. Sometimes I used to assume a rajasic mood in order to practice renunciation. Once I had the desire to put on a gold embroidered robe, wear a ring on my finger, and smoke a hubble bubble with a long pipe. Mathur Babu procured all these things for me. So we don't have any Mathur Babu. Obviously, we have to struggle to get that. So we have so much more desire. See, in Thakur's case, of course, he was Avatara. Supposing he had a small little desire, immediately everything came. Once he experienced, threw it away. Perhaps, procuring itself takes so much time. Till the time the mind is constantly in all that. So it's better not to have them. I wore the gold embroidered robe and said to myself after a while, mine is what is called a gold embroidered robe. Then took it off and threw it away. I couldn't stand the robe anymore. Again I said to myself, my mind, this is smoking hubble bubble with a long pipe. I threw those things away once for all, and the desire to enjoy them never arose in my mind. You see, there's a difference between a great mind. In that mind, everything is super sensitive. Just like that you could catch. And it's so sensitive, once it is done for life. Never ever again Thakur mentioned a gold embroidered robe or a hubble bubble in his life. Whereas if you taste, from the very next day we'll call again. Today अच्छा इतना अच्छा रसगुल्ला खिलाया, अरे कहाँ मिलेगा देखो तो, अरे वही दुकान से ले आओ. Again, that shop, where I brought yesterday, you go there and bring. Because in our case, every little desire creates further samskaras. In the case of Bhagavan or that kind of personalities, there is no, they don't, for us, see, their lives are all just for the sake of the world, to set an example, to show them and all that. No, there's a big difference. So, in our case, if we do something, if you think that after experiencing once it will all go away, you'll only be in a state of illusion. So it doesn't happen. So anyway, but what Thakur says is, sometimes it is good to satisfy some of the small little desires or something. Otherwise, they keep on, there is craving constantly in the mind. But one has to see the small, the simple, that's okay. Otherwise, one should use strong powers of discrimination and say that it's useless. We have seen others, have experienced. No need. Whereas, because, Thakur never had any kind of desire or never had any occasion to enjoy anything. He was from a very poor family. He had hardly enjoyed anything rich. So maybe some desire. Our minds are full of desires, and we have constantly enjoyed also. Whereas there is no need for fresh enjoyment. Whereas we should use strong powers of discrimination and stay away. The mind goes, Thakur himself gives example. When the elephant goes in the street, if it extends its trunk into somebody else's garden, immediately the mahout hits it with that ankush. Immediately it comes back. Similarly, in our case, if the mind craves something, give it a slap, tight slap, so that it comes back. It doesn't get into all that. The mind of you, the master and Yam stood talking alone near the door on the south veranda. Master to Yam. The mind of the yogi is always fixed on God, always absorbed in the self. You can recognize such a man by merely looking at him. His eyes are wide open with an aimless look, like the eyes of a mother bird hatching her egg. Her entire mind is fixed on the egg. There's a vacant look in her eyes. Can you show me such a picture? See how keenly Thakur has observed. Somebody has seen this picture, or he must have seen the mother bird hatching an egg. And Yam did procure such a picture and gave it to Sri Ramakrishna. But they look at yogi. If you see that the famous picture of Sri Ramakrishna is always worshipped, the eyes are slightly open, but you can clearly see that completely an unworldly look, a look which it is very clear that his mind is far away in the supreme state. He himself said this picture of exceptional spiritual realization, state of consciousness. As evening came on, the temples were lighted up. Sri Ramakrishna was seated on a small couch, meditating on the Divine Mother. Then he chanted the names of God. Incense was burnt in the room where an oil lamp had been lighted. Sounds of conch shells and gongs came floating on the air as the evening worship began in the temple of Kali. The light of the moon flooded all the quarters. The master again spoke to him. Perform your duties in an unselfish spirit. The work that Vidyasagar is engaged in is very good. Always try to perform your duties without desiring any result. Vidyasagar was supposed to be a very great, charitable person, Dani. So obviously, innumerable people used to help. Obviously, if you had any thought of return or anything, obviously you would not have done. Anybody, any number of people were helped by. Yes, sir. But I know if one can realize God while performing one's duties, can Rama and desire coexist? Ram and Kam. The other day I read in a Hindi couplet, where Rama is, their desire cannot be. Their desire is, there cannot be. Jaha Ram, waha nahi Kam, jaha Kam, waha nahi Ram. So it clearly asks, because this is the crux, it's a real question. You see, Vidyasagar was doing a lot of charity, okay. But then, like someone like Master Mashai, who could hardly make both ends meet, there's not a scope for much of charity. For him, the main duty is running the family, earning for them, looking after his wife and children and mother and so on. All these are all samsaric duties. That's why he's asking, is it possible to realize God while doing all that? This question several times Master Moshe has asked him. Again and again he asked. Because, when you run a household like that, there will be desires, there will be wants, there will be love and hatred, there will be ever so many emotions. So can these two go together, Master? All without exception perform work. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit. Kayate havasha karma sarvam prakrita jerguni. Any person who is born is not without work, even for a minute, says the Bhagavad Gita. Because that is the nature of Prakriti. That makes you do. Even to chant the name and glories of God is work. Because if you say in one sense, that is also a performance, You are using your mouth, you are using your mind to chant, to think, to meditate. So in a sense, there all you can say. So what is without action? Completely where all the indriyas are totally shut off, where even the mind is practically not there. There are no vrittis in the mind. You're deeply absorbed in a state of samadhi or that kind of thing. Less than that is always work. Even japa is work that way. He says, as a meditation of the non-dualist, I am he. That's also work. Work, mental work, not physical work, mental work. Breathing is also an activity. There is no way of renouncing work altogether. So do your work, but surrender the result to God. So, if that is so, even if meditation is considered work, japa is considered work, so what would a person in the household do? He has to work. He can't run away. Somewhere he asked Ramakrishna, what happens if the family wife or partner is not spiritually inclined or doesn't like? फटाक से श्री रामकृष्ण बोल दिया, give up such a parivar. Then later on, he consoled him, saying that no, if one really desires God or longs for Him, everything will come around. Everything will be turned into favorable circumstances. Sir, may I make an effort to earn more money? Very, very beautiful, valid questions he's asking. It is permissible to do so to maintain a religious family. Supposing your family is also religious, inclined towards all that, it is good. One has to earn. You may try to increase your income, but in an honest way. Dharma patse, keeping dharma as the yardstick or the filter, earn in a rightful way. The goal of life is not earning of money, but the service of God. So remember, that should not be the aim of your life. You do it for a purpose. When Niranjan took up a job, Sri Ramakrishna became very upset. Then he said, to maintain his mother, he took up the job. Otherwise, I could not have even looked at his face. He was dead against all that. But he said, yes, there's a purpose to do it. So similarly, to maintain such a family, you may. But remember, that is not the goal of life. Service of God. Money is not harmful if it is devoted to the service of God. So how does it belong, that is, towards God? They're all God's children, God's wife, my partner, my spouse. Everywhere try to see that kind of a little divinity, and then you, whatever you do it as offering to God. Gita clearly gives a beautiful sloka. Yat karoshi yadasnasi yad juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you eat, whatever you do, yat karoshi yadasnasi yad juhoti. Even the jaga and yajna, whatever you do, dadasyat, even the charity that you do, even the tapasya that you do, madarpanam kuru, offer that unto me. So, completely get rid of the idea that you are the doer. See, what is the main problem? Why work is so much condemned by Shankaracharya and others? The problem is, it supports the idea of ego. I am the karta, I am the doer. Karta, bhokta. If these two are removed, then work is no longer a work. Why? How Swamiji says Karma Yoga will lead to the highest. If karma is so condemnable as Shankaracharya said, He said, you remove the idea, any selfishness, any swarth, then that becomes nothing but a service to God. So it doesn't matter at all. It will not harm you in any way. So then again he asks, how long should a man feel obliged to do his duty towards wife and children? Because he is deeply, uh, uh, he very much wants to uh, lead a spiritual life, obviously. So he says, how long is one's duty? Was probably seriously thinking of even going away if necessary. He says, as long as they feel pinched for food and clothing, because without making provision, even to mother, sometimes some people would come. Because having come in touch with the Holy Mother, maybe that person wants to become a monk. Mother will clearly ask, have you made provision for your family? The moment she knows that he has made sure that they will not starve for food and clothing, she would say yes. She herself would give girva. Otherwise, she would say no. See, when somebody came to Dakshineswar, said, I want to stay here in your company. Sri Ramakrishna scolded and drove him away. Whom do you think will look after your wife and children? Ki parar look Dakshineswar korbe. The people of the locality, do you think will look after them? Go back. He himself says, I drove him away. That's what he says. Then one need not take the responsibility of a son who is able to support himself. Clearly, Thakur knows the matrix of support, etc. When the young fledgling learns to pick his own food, its mother pecks it if it comes for food. See, in the animal world, how all these are all beautifully, ordained rules and regulations. Support how long? You go, fend for yourself. Don't come here. Master, the blossom drops off and the fruit appears. One does not have to do one's duty after attainment of God, nor does one feel like doing it then. See, when the first comes the flower, and then when the fruit appears, it drops off by itself. You don't have to pluck it and throw it. It will automatically wither away. So what Thakur says is, it should be spontaneous. Don't try to simply run away saying that, oh, this is what it is. It has to happen in a very spontaneous way, natural way. Till then, you have to bear the burden of duty. Simply, due to samskaras, due to whatever it is, we are in such a condition today. That has to be addressed. Slowly, when you are really prepared, just as the blossom drops off by itself when the fruit appears. Fruit means realization, higher knowledge, spiritual experience. When all those things come, duty automatically drops off. And you won't feel like doing also. Now, even if you try to tear away yourself when you are not prepared or when you are not spiritually advanced, physically you may stay. Then, mentally, you will be only doing all that, even much worse things if the mind is free. Rather, if you're engaged in work, the mind will be better. That's why, again, everything is there in Gita. Says, Karmendriyani samyamya yaste manasasparan indriyartan vimudhatma mityacharasya uchat. Karmendriyani samyam, by, controlling the karmendriyas like hand, feet, mouth, etc. Yaste manasasparan, who is thinking about all that mentally, is indriyarthan vimudhatma, who thinks about the objects attached to the senses. Such a person is muda, he calls, and also it's a hypocrite, mityachari. So it should be spontaneous. You see, if a drunkard takes too much liquor, he cannot retain consciousness. If he takes only 2 or 3 glasses, he can go on with his work. As you advance nearer and nearer to God, you reduce your activities little by little. Have no fear. You see, if someone suddenly, all of a sudden, drinks excessively, he will start behaving in a queer way, He'll be completely out of control. That's not what is desired. What one should do is, he says, Do it slowly. Do your sadhana also. Do your duties also. As you progress, as you go forward, God will reduce your duties slowly, step by step. Have no fear. Finish the few duties that you have at hand, then you'll have peace. When the mistress of the house goes to bathe after finishing her cooking and other household duties, she won't come back, however you may shout after her. Because the person who is handling all that, the whatever it is, whoever has all those duties, like cooking and all that. Then he finishes all that, and then in Bengal, they don't first take bath and then cook and all. They finish the cooking and all, and then they go for bath. Very strange. In South and all, nobody would enter the kitchen without taking bath. Anyway, so Thakur is talking about Bengali custom. So once finished all duties, now she'll go take bath, maybe do her prayers, and then come for. So at that time, however you call, that means my duties are finished. Don't call me. So like that, when you finish your duties, automatically you will be exempted, can go away, no one can stop you, nothing will happen. Then he's asking a very important question. Maybe we will touch upon this again. We'll maybe have to do again. What is the meaning of the realization of God? What do you mean by God vision? How does one attain it? According to the Vaishnavas, the aspirants and the seers of God may be divided into different groups. Very, very beautiful analogies Ramakrishna gives. These are the Pravartaka, the Sadhaka, the Siddha, and the Siddha of the Siddha. 4 types. He was just set foot on the path, may be called a Pravartaka. He just began his spiritual journey. He may be called a sadhaka who has sometime been practicing spiritual disciplines such as worship, japa, meditation, chanting of God's name and places. He has advanced further. Not only has entered the spiritual life, and he has started practicing seriously. Siddha, he may be called a Siddha who has known from his inner experience that God exists. Maybe he has had a glimpse of the ultimate. Just once, maybe what you call that, jhalak, just a flashlight. And then, what is finally that? And then, so the Siddha of Siddha is something, yes, not only, so is a supremely perfect, and is very intimately associated with God. He knows everything. He has had several that kind of experience and all that. Such a person is called Siddha of Siddha. Undoubtedly, supremely perfect, has known God very intimately. Siddha has had just a glimpse of the ultimate, maybe. But the Siddha of Siddha is someone who has had wonderful experiences and is very intimately associated with God or knows God. So we'll take it next time. It requires a lot more elaborate discussion. Now we'll leave a few minutes for question answers, and then we take leave today. And next month, the first week of August, I'll be somewhere in Africa. So what I'm saying is, you are also around the same time zone, I think, 3.5 hours. They're also like that.
No, Africa, I think, is 2 hours. 2 hours, most likely.
No. Africa is 3.5 hours from here.
From India, then it will be okay. So, yeah. Right.
So I will let you know the time zone. Then if it is the morning, then we can do it. Huh?
Okay.
So one day or 2 days before, I will let you know.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
okay. All right.
September, correct. Huh?
Okay. So we'll manage the time, not an issue. We'll manage the time.
So you please let us know now any questions anybody has. Otherwise,
yeah, you must be very tired after the half-day retreat.
No, I'm not tired, but if there is anything, we'll discuss. Otherwise, because this portion is very interesting. next one. We
Yes,
discuss
yes.
in detail. What
Yes.
about the sadhakas? How does he say? What is the distinction between various kinds? And he gives a beautiful analogy. How a person searches for his master in a dark room. It's very, very revealing example.
Yeah. That's right. So
Okay.
any questions? Anyone? I don't.
Maharaj,
Yes.
I have a question. You gave this example of the Thakur gave example of the bird, the mother,
Yes.
like when the child grows and can collect his own food, but he still comes to the mother picks at him. So,
Yeah.
ideal example of detachment. So, can we say animals actually follow detachment as we see in
No, it is
Vedanta?
not exactly, it is not, they don't have so much of feelings of, emotion and all that. But there is a practice in animal kingdom. At some time you want to fend for yourself. How well ordained, defined is the system, the society, culture, etc. It's not because they are detached or attached and all that. They don't have, they only have instincts. They don't have emotions that way. I mean, of course, if you're domesticated, particularly some animals like cow, etc., they're even seen to shed tears when something happens in the house because they are so much attached. Dogs, if they're domestic, it's okay, but then in the bird kingdom or that kind of thing, it's not so much of emotion. They know this much is their duty. This is what they have to do for their offsprings. Very well defined. This is the duty. Then I don't have to look after.
They live
Whereas
in the
we
present.
are,
They
yeah. So
absolutely live in the present.
So we are, unnecessarily we assume that we are responsible. Even if the children don't want, we think that we are responsible. We unnecessarily get involved. So it's better if you give them. Of course, in other countries, Western countries, by the time they are 13 or 14 or maximum 15, they go away. They start living separately and so on. But of course, in India, still does not come that far. But generally, Thakur says, what is one's responsibility? Only up to this, not beyond.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Ram Krishna. Thank you, Juma. Thank you so much. I hope back home